Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is the MINERity report. It's been a while since I've done one because miners have fallen a little bit out of favor, but it's also good to check in on the miners. And thank you all for coming. You are hardcore if you're watching these videos. This is lots of numbers, lots of math, and I'll go through my usual ranking system and profile all the miners as well. Thank you, Dirk Taylor. Thank you, Sven, as well, for being here. And everybody in the chat, and of course, Sean D, K8, TD, everybody, let's get into the story. This is called the MINERity report, where we'll go wrap up everything that is behind Bitcoin mining and so important in the space. If you're in Bitcoin, you need to know what's going on with the miners. So thank you all for joining. And this is not financial advice, but it does include tons of financials because that's what we do here. Anyway, and shout out to Neil P. Should have done this years ago, but finally joined your Patreon. Woohoo! Welcome to the club, Neil. Thank you. Let's get into the story. This is the beautiful little chart from Farside, and it looks at the kind of winners and losers since 2023. And you know, I always say winners take most or the winner takes most, but this is kind of pretty drastic here. You can see the listed miner share of production every month across all the miners. Now, I added logos so it'd make it a little bit clear. The dark blue is Marathon. The green is CleanSpark. The light blue is Riot. And then that tealy other blue is Iris Energy. And you can see these four are doing it all, ladies and gentlemen. The rest are just kind of crumbs, and they've been completely dominated by these players. In fact, if you look at them here, you can see just four have gained share. It's Marathon, CleanSpark, Riot, and Iris Energy. And the ones that completely bled a ton of share, Core Scientific, Hut8, Hive, Cypher, BitDeer, and Bitfarms is kind of flattish. So that is the skinny, but let's get into a lot more detail. Miner hash rate rips ever higher. This thing is just a beast. The network is getting more and more secure while people are freaking out about quantum. It's not a worry, ladies and gentlemen. Not a worry at all. Okay, this is very good. And the miner reserves keep on dipping as well. By the way, all this data is in the top and bottom indicator model that we have where we represent the data on TradingView. So you can see it very clearly. And another cool one is the miner net flows. The miners go from the middle line is kind of the break even where they're not buying or selling, or should I say holding, stacking, but now they've gone into heavy stacking mode. They did this back in April, slowed down a bit. Now they're getting into it again, offloading Bitcoin. So watch this space as well. In fact, Bitcoin price, I forgot, did I even add the Bitcoin chart? I'm not sure. Bitcoin's $109,000 as we speak. It breached 110 again today. It's just struggling around here. At least we got off the 105K level. This is another cool chart as well. It shows you the average cost for Bitcoin miners to mine Bitcoin. And that cost is $101,332. So if ever the price of Bitcoin falls below 101 grand, boom, you're in trouble. Big time. You're not going to make money. And a lot of them don't. A lot of them have to mine above the actual cost of Bitcoin as well. Now, a little bit of bad news too. This is Riot. They own a big chunk of Bitfarms, but they've been offloading Bitfarms as well. They plan to sell another 1.75 million shares of Bitfarms and reduce their ownership to 14.3%. But they still have another 79.5 million shares left to sell, which is heavy. And Bitfarms also have done something strange. They have stopped publishing how much they actually mine, their production. They're trying to also pivot to this whole HPC world. Remember, a lot of people are pinning hopes on pinning their futures to AI. Yes, some will make it, the majority won't, because you know, if you grew up and your DNA is doing one thing, like say, for example, I was a tap dancer, all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to pivot maybe to MMA fighting, not going to work. And also, when you look at the hyperscalers that you're up against, they are hardcore efficient. And then even the hyperscalers are suffering, okay, because they're up against XAI and other players. So it's just they're going from one completely cutthroat business to an even more cutthroat business. So I want to stress that. I've always had that attitude regarding HPC pivots, but Riot's doing it, and therefore they're not going to say how much they're producing. And not Riot, no, Bitfarms, not going to say how much they're producing, and I don't like that. I like transparency and openness, and they don't have that, so Bitfarms, ding from me on that one. And Tether has extremely ambitious Bitcoin mining plans. Tether is, of course, the biggest stablecoin issuer on the planet by far, and they have announced plans to open source its mining operating system. I think they call it MOS, in Q4 2025. And this move aims to lower barriers for new miners by eliminating reliance on costly third-party software. Now, we know that Jack Dorsey from The Block, who used to be called Square, tried to do the same thing. I don't know whatever happened with those ambitions, but sometimes companies can have ambitions, and I hope Tether can pull it off this time as well. And Tether is a very big, stealthy Bitcoin miner as well behind the scenes. And the CEO, Paolo, projected Tether could become the world's largest Bitcoin miner with billions invested in mining operations. They are also one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin, and they are part of CEP as well. It's, Tether is just a major player, and Circle too. They just launched, but they're not into the mining. Now, shout out to the solo miner that struck gold. Woohoo! One miner successfully mined block, 899,000 and something, and they got $330,000 in reward, a rare feat amid extremely high network difficulty. So this is like literally finding a needle in a haystack or striking gold. So congratulations to all the miners out there. Sometimes you never know when your number's up in a good way. And this is awesome. Now, the Bitcoin hash price index here, you can see as well, this quantifies the expected USD and Bitcoin rewards a Bitcoin miner can earn from a petahash or terahash of Bitcoin hash rate. And you can see it's gone up a little bit, but it's been kind of flat over the last month and at least last couple of weeks. But this also varies. And the fact that the chain, there's not a lot of activity going on as well, can impact this dramatically. But overall, the miners are still making it happen, as long as, especially those that can mine under 103,000, they will make it, or 101,000, whatever it was. And where is the Bitcoin mining happening all over the planet? Well, darker is higher. And the number one global Bitcoin mining area is actually USA. 36% of the hash happens in the USA. Russia, nearly 16%. Russia have very stealthy Bitcoin ambitions, ladies and gentlemen. China, 13.72%. And shout out to the Canadians, nearly 3% up there in Canada. And this is on top of a place like Norway as well, have quite an active place, and other parts of South America. Again, and even parts in Africa and the Middle East. When you can find cheap energy, you can mine Bitcoin. So keep at it, ladies and gentlemen. But this is good to see USA is in the lead. Now let's get into some financial ratios to try determine who is going to win the day. Drop a comment if you know who the winner is. First of all, let's turn off my little thing here. A lot of numbers. These are what I call the gains to, and there's two ways of interpreting this, but the gains to 52-week high. So first of all, if you look at this chart, you will see the one that's most beaten down to get back to the 52-week high is Bitfarms. That's red. That's not good, which means they're way off their all-time high. And the one that's closest to the all-time high is Riot, 47% away. Core Scientific, 48%. Iris, 52%. So HUT, 71%. Clean Spark is 103% away from the all-time high. Hive, 174%. So the more red you go, it's not necessarily a good thing, unless, of course, the fundamentals for the business are solid and they do have a lot of upside then if they are going to make it back to all-time high. So it's like two ways to interpret that, but normally if you're so beat down, there's probably a problem. Now, there is a Bitcoin miner playlist here. You can find it if you're only interested in Bitcoin miner videos. This is where you find it. And let's talk about the HODL bags, miner HODL bags right now. Marathon has $5.4 billion in Bitcoin. And that represents 92.6% of their market cap, which is a staggering statistic. So basically, if you drop $100 into Marathon stock, you're paying $7 for all their IP and all their miners, all their real estate, all of their energy sources, you name it. And the rest is Bitcoin. So this NAV premium for Marathon is crazy low. HUT, number 2, 57.89% Bitcoin. Riot, 55% Bitcoin. CleanSpark, 48% Bitcoin. And you see the big bifurcation here between the miners that actually hold the Bitcoin, HODL bag, versus those that just sell it when they mine it. IRES and Cores do that. BitDeer as well to a large extent, and Cypher too. But this is an important thing, especially if something happens like Bitcoin does go to the moon, goes to 120K real fast, this will impact the miners. And they might at last get their relief. Now, let's look at some Bitcoin production. What I did was I compared September 2024 to April 2025. And I thought it'd be interesting to see exactly what happened. I picked September for a reason, because Marathon produced 705 Bitcoin in September 2024, and they produced the exact same amount in April 2025. By the way, I don't have the May numbers in yet, but therefore we're looking at just April numbers today. What other interesting stuff stands out from this too is, let me see, CleanSpark went from 494 to 633. That's a lot of growth. IRES 347 to 579. That's a very good growth as well. Riot 412 to 463. Not as much. Core Scientific 345 to 256. Core Scientific took a dump big time. Bitfarms 217 to 268, but they're no longer reporting. Wolf hasn't gone anywhere. 176 to 174. BitDeer decreased 164 to 130. Cypher 155 to 108. Also took it in the shorts. And Hive 1112 to 88. Not good. Also, HUT production increased slightly from 85 to 88. But still, many of them aren't going anywhere very, very fast at all. Now, let's look at the current hash rate and future hash rate. Marathon currently has 58,300 exahash, which is a truckload. And they plan to grow it just a little bit more, but their growth trajectory is stalling. CleanSpark want to get to pretty much where Marathon is, to 57.4. And then those two will have that big face-off. Remember, the more modern your rigs are, the more effective and efficient they are at mining Bitcoin. And the more electricity you save, and the lower your overall cost, and the more profit you make. IRES 40,000 going to 52, and Riot 35 going falling a little bit. Sometimes they fall because what they want to do is turn off the older rigs that are no longer effective and efficient. And that's basically all she wrote. Some are just going nowhere fast. Hive has been a very interesting miner. They've been around for a long time, and they just have no plans to grow. And therefore, they're not mining as much Bitcoin. Now, my new favorite ratio is the dollars generated per mining rig per month. IRES kills it in this statistic here. Per rig, they are generating $348.4, which means they have very new, very powerful, effective, and efficient rigs. Bitfarm number 2, 312. Cypher number 3, 309. I don't understand the Cypher numbers, because some of the stats come out really good, but then something just doesn't add up. Hive 308, CleanSpark 303, and then Riot 272, Marathon 229. Marathon dropped off a lot, which tells me they have a lot of very old rigs. BitDeer 194, Cores, and the oldest rigs of all belong to HUT. They only generate $134 per rig. And you can see that Iris Energy do nearly $200 more per rig. So very important stat. Bitcoin held as a percentage of market cap. Again, we covered this before. I don't know why this is in again. And production ROI over market cap. This is the amount that they generate per month, converted from Bitcoin terms into cash, and then divided by the actual market cap. Bitfarms number 1, 4.25%. But again, they stopped reporting, so something's fishy there. IRES, if you disregard Bitfarms, IRES is the winner, 2.48. CleanSpark, 2.42%. And Hive, 2.29%. Cypher, 1.36%. Marathon, 1.33%. And Riot, 1.31%. All these videos are turned into podcasts. Thank you to the team behind the scenes. And let's get into the conclusion. Not a lot to share, except this is a valuable piece. And I've been ranking these miners the same way since the beginning of time. This helped me identify CleanSpark early when it was around $2. Then it went to around $24, and then it's just gone down. This has been an unusual market for crypto. A lot of people expected. I remember having chats with people say, "Oh, CleanSpark's going to go to $100, and Marathon's going to go to $200 and all this stuff." Well, that hasn't transpired. It's very different, very competitive, very cutthroat. Keep your allocations far less than 5% of your actual holdings. Let's get back to this model. As you can see here, I do this two ways. One is weighted and the other way is unweighted. Weighted or unweighted is an average score of everything weighted equally all across all the ratios, some of which you see here. When you do that, what falls out is you have, let me make sure I read this correctly, the winner here, unweighted, remember, is Riot, 73%. And the number 2 player is CleanSpark, 68%. And Iris, no, not Iris, it would be Bitfarms 56, but they're not reporting anymore. And then you got Marathon 53. It's kind of tight after that, Iris 51. But it's important to weight the scores. Okay, if you measure everything equally, it's not as good. So I prefer my weighted methodology, and we have. This is the title's wrong. Not Bitfarms. The winner is Riot. But hold on a second. Where is my? Oh, this is my weighted version. Okay, I skipped ahead too fast on the keyboard. Sorry about that. The winner. Oh, the winner is Riot. So with a 68%. Number 2 is Iris Energy, 67%. And number 3 is CleanSpark, 65%. CleanSpark used to win all this back in the day, and they are falling a little bit from grace. And then number 4, Cypher, and Marathon is number 5. So forget the title, Riot number 1. But an interesting piece about Riot is slowly then suddenly. And this, I just want to look back in history on this one for a second, because people are expecting a big pump. And shout out to Solana Myth, who actually put this beautiful little chart together. Riot ran to $46 in 2017. And then Riot ran to $79 in 2021. And now it's been sitting at $10 thereabouts for the longest time. People are still expecting a run. I don't know if we're going to get it. This time is very different in many, many different ways as well. So that's the winner. Then second place, Iris Energy, woohoo. And Iris, again, they get a lot of credit for being very effective, very efficient, growing their hash, etc. Very lean, mean operating machine. Also, they do HPC, which they get credit for too. And third place, CleanSpark. So CleanSpark fell a little bit from grace. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Hit the like and subscribe. That was the miner update you've all been asking for the longest time. Got it to you. But it takes a long time to crunch all these numbers. So I hope you appreciate them. And again, everything's measured equally. You can take any of these numbers yourself. Let's go back here. Weighted, unweighted, and add your own weights. What you think is most important. Look at the colors. If it's green, it's good. If it's red, it's bad. And you can just see, like every single time, every single miner is different. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on this day. Tomorrow, Tesla Cyber Bulls. For those interested in AI, robotics, drones, humanoid robots, that'll be a good show tomorrow. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to the mods in the chat. Everybody take care of yourselves. And let's check in on the Bitcoin price while we're here. Bitcoin fell under 109K. Let's check out the day range and see if any of the miners are moving. Miners today are all down pretty much across the board, but Riot is up 1%. The only one on my list that's up today is Riot. You can't make that stuff up. Yeah, so let me see. Everything kind of down. So everybody, hope you enjoyed the show. Talk to you tomorrow. Thank you. Good night.